Welcome, welcome, welcome. King with Coach K podcast. I am your host and the man of the hour, Coach K. We had a little bit of a schedule mistake on my part, to be honest with you guys. Coach Harris will be on next week, so we're looking forward to talking to him. And we will be welcoming back Coach Javon Johnson. Shout out to him. Last week's episode was incredible. If you missed it, go check it out with Coach Johnson over at Diverse Sports Performance. We had a great episode. He's going to be joining the show as a co-host from time to time, along with a couple other faces that I haven't quite announced yet, but you'll be seeing them around again soon as well. So we're excited for what's coming to the show. Again, we're transitioning this show from more of that just straight interview style to roundtable talks with other coaches on different topics, sports today, our kids today, how to coach more efficiently, philosophy, all the different things that we cover on this show throughout time. Fun barbershop talks and debates, all that sort of stuff. So we're excited to have those people on. Again, shout out to Coach Harris. He'll be on next week. We're looking forward to it. This show today is brought to you by Brain Jerk Entertainment, Kennedy Health and Wellness. Again, guys, the Brain Jerk experience is coming soon. You've heard me talk about it the last few weeks, but they're on Telegraph here in Monroe. They're going to be opening the Brain Jerk experience this summer. Make sure that you stay tuned on all their social media for everything going on. And then every week we have multiple podcasts going on. So you have Squared Circle Shenanigans on Monday at 6, right? Or 7. Monday at 7, right? And then you have Kicking It with Coach K on Tuesday. And then tomorrow we also have Pillar Talk. So at 6 p.m. you can catch Pillar Talk. Again, you can find all this stuff on their socials, every content, every bit of podcast links, and then all the stuff that's coming up with their events and the Brain Jerk experience. Show's also brought to you by Kennedy Health and Wellness. We're your one-stop shop for everything wellness, from body care to candles. We specialize in high quality, variety, and affordability. Our summer collection just dropped this past week, guys. I'm telling you, we got more scents than we've ever had. We got brand new products. My wife is killing it in the workshop. We'll be at our first show on June 1st, the Relay for Life vendor show. Make sure you guys come out, not just to the vendor show, but come out that day to that whole event going on at the fair, because it's obviously for a great cause. And then stop by the vendor show around 2 p.m. between 2 and 8 and come see us. Coaching clinic update. We are currently looking for sponsors, vendors, and creating we're working on creating an entire platform with this coaching clinic, guys. So it's not just going to be, you show up to the Monroe and Downriver Coaching Clinic and it's a great day. We're working at really creating a resource for coaches, so to speak. So we want to create stuff that you can use year round, even when the clinics aren't going on. We want to create knowledge from different coaches and then put it into resources for us to be able to take whenever it is, right? Whether your season begins now, then we just want to give you guys something that we might be missing. So, as I've explained about Evolve Coaching Clinics before, we focus more on the character development, program development side of things. So it's good for any sport, any experience. So it's just a great resource for coaches is what we're trying to build, and a great experience at our clinic. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Evolve Coaching Clinics has its own Instagram page, its own Facebook page. We're updating constantly. And if you're a business in the local area that's interested in becoming a sponsor, or you're somebody in this area who would like to become a vendor that's in the coaching or sports related field, let us know. And we'd love to have you. So this show is also brought to you by Amaya's Fresh Mexican Grill, The Little Brown Jug, Lane's Pizzeria, IWR, All Hard Athletics, Monroe County Sports Network, 1817 CrossFit, Joyology, 8 Mile Vodka, Backroad Baggers, Smoker Society, Spooky Films, Nerdy Designs, and of course, Evolve Coaching Clinics. Appreciate each one of those sponsors. Every week, I try to show a little bit of love for them. They all do great things in our community. We're 100 days from kickoff today. I just shared a video that Spooky did for us. Shout out to Spooky. He's the best in the game, the absolute best in my opinion. But we just shared that video today that he did for us. Incredible work. And just everybody on this list, not to take away from anybody, because all these places have a special place within our community, but also have done some different things as far as our coaching clinics, or, this podcast, helping this podcast run, and different things in our community for our student athletes. Quote of the day: we cannot become what we want by remaining who we are. That's by Max Dupree, and then reiterated constantly by Coach JB. We cannot become what we want by remaining who we are. So that's obviously pretty straightforward. If you want something in life, if you want more, if you want to become somebody, if you see yourself as somebody, you have to start doing things daily differently. You have to start challenging yourself. You have to start upping the ante. You have to start pushing yourself to different limits. You cannot remain the same. You cannot remain who you are if you want results to change. Read of the week. And I actually want to give a shout out to Gabe Sweet. He, I started training with him again just recently, just today actually. Gabe is getting to a point in his training and in his mindset, man, where it's just becoming a different level. And he found this book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And that's our read of the week. So I'm going to take his suggestion for this. I'm going to go get it myself. I suggest you guys do the same. He says it's a great book as far as building your mindset and different things. So I'm going to take his word for this today. Again, a student athlete that works his tail off. Shout out to him in the Concordia basketball program. And just that's an incredible thing, man, to see some of our young kids still, taking things like reading and prioritizing them. I think it's important. We talk about that on the show. That's why we have a read of the week for coaches or student athletes to basically get the message that that's still an important part of learning despite the technology and different things going on. So make sure you're still prioritizing books. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your knowledge. It's just good for you all the way around. So make sure you're doing that. Like I said, it's 100 days till kickoff. Happy 100 days till kickoff, football fans. I saw a lot of posts today from fellow coaches that were either sharing, 100 days or coming soon or can't wait till the lights turn on. Just all the different feelings, man, that us coaches are starting to feel as we get close here. We're starting to schedule our 7-on-7 dates, or we've already had them scheduled. We're starting to plan summer workouts or plan our two-a-days. We're starting to meet more as a staff. We're starting to really turn things up and get ready for the season. For me, the 100-day mark until kickoff is football season. And to me, actually, the whole 365 is football season. You just have different segments of football season. But when we hit this 100-day mark, every day is August 29th. And that 100-day mark is really important to me from this point moving forward. And you've already needed your football program to be locked in. But this 100 days is extremely important going into the season and how you're healthy, how you get in shape, how in tune you are with each other, how the camaraderie comes together, all those different things. So happy 100 days, football coaches. Let's get excited. We're about to turn these lights on. August will be here before we know it. I can't wait. And, yeah, man, I'm just excited. And shout out to Noah Boudry for doing the tournament here, the 7-on-7 tournament. I want to give Jesus and Football and Noah a special shout out for doing that. That's a great event for our community. Just something I wanted to reach out and give him some love for. So, guys, we're going to talk about a few topics today, just cover a few things. These shows are obviously, a little bit different when it's just me going solo. It's just kind of a chance to get some thoughts out. There's not as much back and forth or interviewing or talking. But there are some things that I do feel very strongly about that I like talking about as far as coaching, philosophy, and just as far as our world today. I actually just left one of our sponsors, Amaya's Fresh Mexican. I just left Amaya's and had an amazing conversation with a couple gentlemen. One of them, we've actually had his son on the podcast in the past. He's another student athlete who plays in college. Shout out to Ty. But to be honest with you, and Aaron and all them guys, right? But to be honest with you, we had a great talk about just coaching and discipline in the world today and how we can get back to kind of a more conducive to success, conducive to winning type of behavior in our society. And we had a great conversation. A couple next to us actually tuned in and had some stuff to chime in and loved the conversation we were having and wanted to even get into the conversation with us. And it was just an amazing feeling, right, to have that conversation. So we're going to talk about some things, get some thoughts out there. Training today versus yesterday, the state of basketball in this next generation, future of college football and JUCO survival, men's volleyball added here in Michigan. Just going through a rundown of some of the things we're going to cover today. Video game trailer drops. College Football 25 dropped a new trailer. We'll give our thoughts and our reaction on that. And then our athletes of the week dominated on the track and field this week. We got Both of our athletes of the week for both the boys and the girls and our honorable mentions are both on the track and field side of things. So just absolutely dominated by the track and field this week. We had a lot of records being set in that area, so that kind of played into it. We'll talk about that at the end. And then we will, of course, finish with a little all-star update on the all-star game, and then the on this day section, of course, to finish things off. So to start things off, the reason I wanted to touch on this today is a lot of people know I obviously train athletes and do that on the side to a certain degree, along with running a couple businesses and coaching football. But, I saw something on a platform. It's literally called The Platform, but it's a group that I'm in with coaches. And there was a video posted of how Christian McCaffrey was training versus the athletes kind of in the past, right? And it was showing like how somebody in maybe the early 2000s or 90s was training versus how Christian McCaffrey is prioritizing things, right? And then I saw another post today about training athletes back in the day versus training them today and how we're working more movement stuff today and different things. And, this is something that I think we're starting to talk about a lot more. And it's something that we've grown a lot. We're getting a lot more educated. We're getting a lot smarter. And we do need to change how we train, right? The days of not knowing how the body moves or not understanding how to train the body in a sport specific way or a way that's going to be healthy for the athlete, or those two things, which should be those two things combined. Those days are over. We know how the body moves. We've learned it over time. We're still learning, but things have changed a lot with the knowledge that we have as trainers, as athletic trainers, as all of that. And even in the fields, like shout out to Coach Harris, who's coming on next week, but Maximum Movement Solutions, who does the more recovery side of things. All that stuff has gotten so much more extensive now that we have to apply that knowledge with how to train the athletes. If we know that guys, as they were older, were getting broken down because of the way we were working or how much we were training or how much we were lifting weights or whatever, we obviously have to change the way we do things, right? So, with OTA, especially shout out to Overtime Athletes and Chris Barnard, my guy. We're going to have him on the pod at some point as well. But with all that with the way we're seeing athletes train, there's something to it, right? If the best athletes are doing it, it's probably for a reason. So when you see guys starting to work more plyometrics, more med ball movements, more calculated sport-specific drills, more speed, more agility, and kind of incorporating lightweight into that, or cutting down the amount of time we're focusing on heavy weights, like these are changes that are super important for longevity of athletes. I think as we continue to do this, we'll start to see more guys play sports for 10, 15, 20 years. I think that's going to be a thing now, where that's not as amazing, and no offense to guys like LeBron who do it now or whatever, but I think that's going to be a thing where we see it as more of a normal to play longer, just because of how we are learning how to train, take care of our bodies, the nutrition options out there, all those different things. But as coaches, we are always searching on how to get better. And I just think there's a huge discussion to be had, and we'll be talking about this with Coach Johnson and Coach Harris next week as well, and doing a really deep dive into this topic. But to just kind of introduce it to the show and talk about this, because it was on my mind after seeing these videos, I think we're actually training athletes we're just getting smarter, man. We're getting more efficient. I just had a long talk with Gabe today about his goals, his plans. I'm working with Alan Parks still. And we're in a so much better place than I think we were with our athletes when I went to school or before me or, years ago. I think we are really preparing the body to move how it's going to move in that sport, right? And sometimes it's multiple sports, and we can train that. And I think that's becoming a big thing today, to be honest with you guys, in the success of athletes. I also think that's kind of why we're seeing I think that's why we're seeing the athlete kind of grow as far as his athleticism. You hear everybody today, and we actually mentioned this today at the dinner, but you hear a lot of people say, the old people say we were tougher, the young people say we were more athletic. And that's actually true, right? There's a truth to that. And I had this talk actually twice today, now that I think about it. But there's truth to that. They were tougher because part of it was the coaching was different, but the training was tougher, right? That type of like grunt lifting, kind of old school way of working out, especially in like a football locker room, like that will genuinely make you tougher. That doesn't mean it's smarter, and it doesn't mean it makes you a better athlete. I think that's where we have to decipher things, right? And that's why we needed to step forward and do things a different way throughout time and develop ourselves as performance coaches or strength and conditioning coaches, etc. Like we needed to make sure that we understood that and kept developing that. Now these guys today they seem like they're all superhuman athletes, right? And a lot of that is because their training is that much better. They're training like superhumans now, as far as they're becoming superhuman, super athletes because of their training sport specific. They're training to basically do those movements that they're going to do in a game, maybe with some resistance or a lightweight or continuous movements or different things that we use as coaches, different tools that we add into those. But it is a different world, and it's great. Our athletes are becoming more athletic. They're becoming better. To me, where we're failing, if we're failing as far as coaching, it's the coaching and skills. We're not failing as far as development in the athletes, as far as that goes. Strength and conditioning, performance, that's gotten so much better. You got to stay away from the Instagram trends, as Coach Johnson and I referred to last week at DSP. We referred to that and talked about that for a while last week. You have to stay away from Instagram. And be very careful about what you look at as a trainer or as a student athlete off of Instagram. But at the same time, you have to be willing to evolve and try new things. So just kind of my thought. We're going to, again, dive into this next week more with those two fellas. It'll be a great conversation. I already know we'll get in depth on that one. And then let's transition here. So I don't watch much basketball. I watched March Madness because I like to fill out a bracket. It's fun. I watched a little bit of this playoff, and the NBA is the worst product in pro sports, and it might be the worst product ever. And I know that's like a super negative, like pessimistic point of view. I get that. But when you have game 7, 30-point blowouts in a game that's do or die with your season on the line, something's broken with the system. There's been so many blowouts in the NBA playoffs this year. It's disgusting. Games are not even competitive. And like, I feel like even like watching the Nuggets, right? I felt like blowing that lead, letting that go, and not finishing that job is such a, like, this is a different league now today. Teams ain't going to win back-to-back titles and whatnot. You're going to get, it's basically somebody has to win. I thought about that earlier, and I feel like the NBA is literally just somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. There is no real good teams. It's just somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, and somebody's going to win enough games to win a championship every year. And it's probably going to be a different team. I hate being that negative guy because I grew up on the NBA. Those who know me actually know, like, my biggest dream when I was like a kid growing up was like I wanted to play in the NBA. That was like my big dream when I was a youngin', as I always said, I'm gonna go to the NBA, I'm gonna play pro basketball. I love the game of basketball. I grew up in the era of like the 04 Pistons and some of those teams. So, I grew up in a little different era of basketball than what goes on today, but the competitive nature, man, and the acceptance of just like getting beat at home by 30, it's just a weird thing to me, man. It's a weird league. Those guys like KG, and like the Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo teams, Ray Allen, the Rasheed Wallaces, the Tracy McGrady's, the Allen Iversons, like those days are obviously behind us. And I think even like we're in a new generation of basketball now. I think the generation of LeBron, AD, Chris Paul, even KD's, like we're starting to get to the end of those guys, man. And the new generation's really taking over. And I'll be honest, I don't like where the game is at all. I hate it. I know I sound like the old guy, and maybe I am the old guy with basketball, but, with football, at least, I'm pretty open-minded. So with football, I still believe that football is supposed to be a gladiator sport. It's aggressive for a reason. That's how the game was built. But we also should make it as safe as we can for the kids, make adjustments. I still have fun coaching the game and watching it every single year. I have not skipped a beat with football. With basketball, I've really lost my interest. And I think it's just football, for the most part, still feels like there's people trying to compete. And I don't think basketball is trying to compete. Keith, can I get a glass of that? Thank you. Sorry. So we got Brother Paul on the production today from Squared Circle Shenanigans. Keithy in the house. Appreciate you, sir. Filling in for producer Josh today. Thank you. I got a bug in my throat. All right, so back to what I was saying, though. There's a couple guys there's a couple guys I think have that mindset in the league. There's a couple coaches who still coach that way, like Tom Thibodeau. And I know that sounds contradicting because New York just lost a game like that, but I still think he coaches guys hard. Rick Carlisle probably still coaches guys pretty hard. He's an old school guy, but I think we have to start like not turning over coaches every 2 years. I think we have to let coaches develop a culture. I think we have to start coaching those guys hard. I think that the guaranteed money in the NBA is kind of making that a lazy league, to be honest with you. Football is not really the same if you look it up, so you can do that research on your own. But I just think the NBA product is getting really watered down. It's becoming really like and I'm not even saying the offensive part of it. Like everybody likes seeing buckets, 3-pointers, whatever, but there's certain aspects of the game that's disappearing, and the competitiveness of the game in general is getting bad, man. The NBA playoffs have been horrific. I hope we get a competitive Eastern and Western Conference Finals, or a competitive NBA Finals at least. And I hope at some point the game kind of changes back around, man. I hope at some point, there's a team or two that maybe sets the tone, and, they build a team off defense and they win a championship that way. College football just saw that, right? Like Michigan, and I'm obviously, people are going to say you're a Michigan fan and that's why you're saying this, but it's also true. Michigan just won against the grain. Like Michigan just did it without NIL, without transfer portal, heavy transfer portal additions. Michigan just did it without an air raid or a heavy spread attack. They just did it by running the football and playing defense, the old school way of winning. So maybe in the NBA, we can find a couple teams that eventually maybe have a big down low, can kick it out for the open threes, like kind of play the defense game, kind of do the old school basketball thing, and maybe we'll get kind of that rejuvenated feeling again like Michigan was able to give us this year. That was refreshing, to be honest, for a lot of college football fans. So I hope the NBA gets it together, man. It's tough. I like guys like Anthony Edwards. I think he's still got some ways to grow, but I think he's going to be one of them guys in his own right. And like I said, there's some positive, there's hope. But right now the NBA product has got to get better, just as a whole. So speaking of football, college football, this is a great transition point to our next topic here. The future of college football and JUCO survival. So this is something that I heard kind of talked about throughout on the College Football Inquirer podcast, and also the Coach JB show with Big Smitty. Shout out to both of those shows. They were talking about all the stuff going on with college athletics. There's a lot of stuff moving right now with the law and in different motions that's going to change college athletics as we know it forever. The transfer portal and NIL has already changed college athletics as we know it. We've talked about it on the show. There's some good, there's some bad. There's obviously kids. I'm obviously, as somebody who runs businesses, believes in capitalism. Kids having an opportunity to make money off of their name, image, and likeness is something that I agree with. But I think this has been done wrong to a degree. I think it's the wild, wild west. I think we have some problems, and I think we kind of need to get things in order. I wish there was a way we could do it. I don't know how. So I'm not really one to sit here and give a solution out for 40 minutes, but I do wish that we could find a way to kind of make sure there was some understanding and control. And, there's been a lot of discussions about whether we should unionize, whether they should be considered employees, all this different topics. And it's scary. It's a lot of different stuff going on, right? And it's something that I talk about with guests on here, something I've talked about on my solo show numerous times. And it's something that, I listen to a lot and I hear about it as a diehard college football fan and somebody who eventually wants to coach at that level. I stay very, very tuned into that sort of thing, man. And it's very uncertain right now with what's going to happen. And, I heard something that I didn't even think about on the JB show today or from yesterday about, JUCO football is in trouble. Because now guys are going to the transfer portal instead. And it's really being damaged by that. And if all the stuff goes through, it could really crush JUCO football. And I have to wonder, at some point as college football fans, coaches, administrators, ADs, all the above, at some point do we have to sit and ask, is all this worth it? Is all this stuff that we're about to give up, is it worth what we're getting? And I think that conversation needs to be had right now in the courtrooms, with each other, in the meetings at SEC days, everything. I think those conversations need to be had for the sake of football right now. I think we need to figure out what we want college football to look like, what we want. Do we want, just TV revenue sharing with the players? Do we want them unionized? Do we want to check from the school? There's so many things that need to be figured out, and I think we need to get them figured out and get it set in stone as soon as possible, man, so that we can try to figure out how to go from here. And I think with the college sports and college football, again, I think the talk needs to be had. What are we giving up, and is it worth what we're going to have? And I think there's a side that can be, I think there can be two perspectives from both of those sides. Or I think there can be a perspective in two different sides there. I think, there can be a side of this is not good for college football. We need to not necessarily find a way to put the cat back in the bag, but we need to figure out a way to make this a more smooth transition or make it less of a transition, whatever. And I think there's those who just kind of know this is a train that's rolling. We're going there. Let's do it now. Let's overhaul it. Let's go. And I think I really do think everybody needs to sit in one big room and have that conversation. And that's kind of my take on it. We need to have that talk. We're going to lose a lot with going forward this way. We really are. And I know there's a lot of people excited about the change. I know a lot of people love NIL, transfer portal, would love to see the kids become employees, all that different stuff. But we have to remember the ramifications to all that. There's always a cost. And I think we need to have that talk as parents even that want our kids to play college athletics. So something we need to think about moving forward, something we need to pay attention to. Just something I had on my mind today. Something, again, we'll talk about next week with Coach Harris coming in and Coach Johnson, another couple guys that have experience talking about this and have experience in these realms, and something we may just bring up and get in depth next week again. Men's volleyball added to the state of Michigan officially. So high school sports will now be able to, or high schools in Michigan will now be able to add men's volleyball as a school sport. I think that's incredible. Just as somebody who's worked with the Allen Park volleyball program the last 3 years and watching that sport, I never understood why men didn't play volleyball more often, or why there wasn't an official league for men to play volleyball at the youth level or the high school level. Like, it was kind of weird to me. That sport is so much fun. It really requires the best athletes. It's an insane sport, and I think that was a great move. I think, actually, to be honest, they'll get a lot of people that do that, because think about it, if it goes like girls would, and I'm not 100% sure on the details yet. I'll do some research before we talk about this again, but to see all the details. If it runs through, if they even have this info yet, but if this runs through the fall, winter, like the girls do, that's potentially going to take, there's some athletes, especially in bigger schools, who don't make the basketball team, who I could see filling up volleyball rosters. Like, basketball only keeps 12, 13, 14 people. And I could see a lot of people, especially in bigger schools, playing volleyball that may not like basketball, or just may not have made the team, right? And I think it's a great thing. Again, it's an amazing sport. I've went on record to say that I think volleyball players are right up there with any athlete. You put them at the level with basketball, football, hockey, anything. Playing volleyball is also one of the hardest things to do, and I will have that discussion with anybody any day of the week. The reactionary component to that game and the kind of quick twitch movements and the variety of movements that it requires. And honestly, the mental fortitude that game requires throughout sets and throughout just different moments in the game. Like I'm telling you guys, that's a sport that I will stick up for any day of the week. And obviously I coach volleyball and high school football. So, I've been through 2-a-days. I've seen all this stuff, and I'm telling you right now, like I put volleyball up there with any sport. Just because, especially with the degree of athletes that play the game, especially. So, I think for me, adding men's volleyball is a beautiful thing. I think the state should have done it. I think we're going to get some competitive games too. I think that's going to be a very, very competitive sport. And I'm really excited to see who all can make that happen and kind of what the timeline is for that. One thing I'm kind of confused about is why it took so long. Again, that sport, just being around it seems like a really obvious thing to me. It just seems like something that you would do, right? This just seems like something that you would that dudes would be involved in too, like basketball. It just seems like a sport that everybody could play. So maybe that's something we'll do a deep dive one day and figure out when it was introduced to, when volleyball was introduced and why it's not traditionally been, kind of a sport for anyone. But glad it is breaking ground. We come on this show and we're happy to see like girls basketball gain popularity and become something huge. And we even promote, to be honest, I've even went on record promoting esports before and watching that grow, just because at least kids are competing and being around other kids. And, there's certain aspects of that are even good for you. But, that's where I'm at as far as that goes, man, is like, I want to see that, so, I want to see us grow. I want to see our kids have opportunities. Plus, to end on this note, that's another sport now for a kid to get out of the house, for him to get off the cell phone, get off the video games, for him to get in a team environment, be coached, be disciplined, compete against other kids, be a part of something bigger than himself. That's a big deal to me. So just like we like seeing other sports added, other sports evolve, we love seeing this one. Incredible thing, man. I can't wait to see that happen. Hopefully we get a couple schools around here that get us, because, while I spend most of my time at AP volleyball games, I would definitely go check out some of our local community schools if that was a thing. All right, guys, let's talk about it. My favorite moment this past week, I was so hurt that it dropped after our last podcast, but the NCAA, the college EA Sports College Football 25 trailer dropped, the new video game, first video game out in 11 years. We did a full-on episode about the teaser drop when it came out and about the game, and we talked about my thoughts on the game, who I thought would be the cover people. I was wrong, newsflash. The cover people was not who I thought it would be. I said I think Shedeur Sanders. We got Travis Hunter, and we got Donovan Edwards, and we got Quinn Ewers. Incredible covers, by the way. I thought the art was awesome. I thought it captured college football. Did a great job. Shout out to them. And people who have an issue with the cover people, you have a national champion who shows up in every big game in Donovan Edwards. You have Quinn Ewers, who is essentially potentially going to be the best quarterback in college football this upcoming year. And then you have Travis Hunter, who's a two-way stud, who's probably going to be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft, balls out. It's the right cover people, right? And even the cover with everybody on it was great too, man. It included a lot of teams, a lot of different people, some names I didn't expect. I loved it. Think they did a great job. Now, as far as the trailer goes, I'll be honest, man, I was watching that trailer and goosebumps and nostalgia and just almost tears coming down. I was so pumped. I've never, ever, I'm not a video game guy. I've never been excited for a video game. I've never, Call of Duty came out growing up. I was never excited for it. I didn't care about Call of Duty. I don't care about Fortnite. I don't care about video games like that. But this game, to be honest with y'all, I'm so excited for this game. And then watching the trailer. So when I watched the trailer, I noticed the music right away with the band. And then I just noticed all the details in making sure that traditions and just finite details were put into this game, right? The helicopters flying over, everybody touching Howard's Rock, like the Notre Dame side, all the little things, the sideline celebrations throughout with Michigan and the different things. Some Buckeye fans are going to hate me, but the stiff arm from Donovan Edwards, it's like realistic, right? It's like, man, so that was incredible to see, though. That whole trailer really, to me, just encompassed and really detailed college football, and I thought it was amazing. Every step of the way so far for this video game, I've given it an A+. The people that they have doing the voices on the game for calling and having multiple broadcasts and calling the games, they got the best that can do it. Fowler, Herbstreit, the details that we've seen in the trailer, incredible. The music, incredible. Getting almost every player and every team to agree to be in the game, that's insane. Keeping the modes that we love and adding to them, featuring NIL and transfer portal and all the stuff and all the ways that college football has changed, putting all that into the game and making it clear. I think this game has not just – I don't think this is just going to be one of the best games ever. I think it's one of the best marketed games ever. Like, this game has been a perfect marketed product all the way through, from a business standpoint and from a college football fan standpoint. This has been perfect, man. It's been awesome. Now, what the hope is that when the game drops, the game is just as good as everything building up to it. Because now, as college football fans, we have this mindset now that this game is going to be off the chain. I mean, it's going to be 10 out of 10. It's going to be the best video game ever, the best football game to ever be played. It's going to be insane. So now the hope is that, the gameplay, certain things that people are frustrated with Madden. I haven't bought Madden in a handful of years, but I've listened to some of the frustrations. Some of those things, now it's going to be, can we get those things out? Can we have the most efficient game possible? And I think EA has really put a lot of work into this. I think the developers have really made this kind of their baby over the last several years. I think this is going to be an incredible video game. If you haven't seen the trailer, go watch it. EA Sports dropped it on Friday. I believe it was Friday, but incredible trailer. It's really going to make you want to play this game, and it's really going to make you, as a college football fan, just because who knows what this game looks like down the road? Who knows what college football looks like? And this game seems to be the one that's going to capture all of college football and its tradition. So for me, I still play the 2013-14 games today. And for me, those games were great. They were based on a lot of tradition and different things. But just based on the trailer that we just watched, this game's going to be much more in depth and much more detailed, and that's what I really can't wait for. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be like the 2014 game, just absolutely, 3 times more detailed and just better graphics and all the ways we've developed technology-wise since 2014. I think it's going to be one of the best games, if not the best sports game ever, and I can't wait to play it. I think everybody should be excited for this one. Guys, we're going to get out of here shortly, but I do want to talk about a couple things with our student athletes in our community right here. First thing I want to talk about is our athletes of the week. Matt Four, Airport Track and Field, set a Monroe County region record with a discus throw of 177-1 and also won a regional championship in the shot put. Let me say that one more time for y'all. Matt Four, Airport, Monroe County region record with his discus throw and a regional championship in shot put. What a day. Great job, Matt. You are our student athlete of the week for the boys, for the men, for the women. Kayla Botts, Flat Rock girls track and field. She set a school record with a toss of 123 feet and 4 inches. That won her a regional discus title. So great job. Again, track is on heavy this week. Honorable mentions for our student athlete of the week. Brandon Comet, Ida boys track and field. He set a school record in the low hurdles and also won the highs in Division III regional at Adrian Madison. And then our last but not least, Beth Sweeney, Mason girls track and field. She won the regional championships in both hurdles and high jump and ran on a state qualifying relay. So honestly, you know, reading that back to that, our track and field in our community had an incredible week, right? And it's not just talking about like great against the competition. Like, we're smashing records. It goes back to my point with Coach Johnson last week. Sports in Monroe County are better than they've ever been, and they're just getting better. The coaching's getting better. The buy-in from the athletes are getting better. Us promoting our kids is getting better. It's just getting better all the way across. And you're starting to see that now. Again, we're putting people on here who are dominating their regionals and multiple events or setting school records, and it's incredible to see. A little bit of an all-star update. So if you didn't tune in last week, the Monroe County and Lenawee County decided to do a conjoined all-star game. So Monroe is going to face Lenawee. It's on June 21st. Let me double check that for the listeners in case you go mark it on your calendar. Friday, June 21st at 7 p.m. at Siena Heights. Again, that's Monroe versus Lenawee. So if you listen to this pod and you're from Bedford or Temperance or Flat Rock or Monroe, or doesn't matter, Ida, Erie, make sure you come out and support these boys. These are kids from all over the county, and they're going to go take on Lenawee. And, we had the pleasure of coaching in that game last year at the Monroe County All-Star game. And this now, and it was a blast. And this now is the first year that we get to go face Lenawee. So it's exciting. Make sure you get out there. It's always a good time. Even last year, despite bad weather and everything and low numbers and all these challenges, we had a great day. It was an amazing time. Monroe County Sports Network comes out and covers it. So shout out to them. They always come out and do their thing at all those events. So I'm sure we'll see them in the house that day as well. Make sure if you come out to the game, you say hello. I'll be out there. Can't confirm yet or deny. I may be on the sideline that night. I may be in the stands. I will let you guys know and keep you guys posted on that. But yeah, man. So June 21st at 7 p.m. That's a Friday night. Make sure you save the date. And make sure you stop out to come support all of our kids around the county. Actually, at Mason, we just had several kids that we announced today that committed. So shout out to all those guys. Pleasure to coach those guys the last couple years. I know that we're sending a very talented, very good group of kids over from Erie Mason to play in this game. So I know they'll represent well. I'm excited for them and everybody that's playing in that game one last time. So remember, for a lot of them seniors, a couple of them will be going to play college football, but for a lot of them seniors, it would be the last time strapping up and playing football ever. So make sure you get out and support them. That's really important to those guys. On this day in sports, 1904, FIFA formed in Paris. So anybody who plays FIFA, the video game, or watches soccer, or that's like the most popular sports game, or, obviously there's FIFA fans all over. You're a big soccer fan. In 1904, the FIFA formed out in Paris. So significant on this day. Had that not happened, who knows what soccer looks like today without that organization forming. So still popular today. How many years later? It's 2024, and that was 1904. It's crazy to think about, but on this day, man, nuts. Guys, appreciate you guys tuning in. Next week, like I said, we have Coach Harris from Harper Woods and Maximum Movement Solutions and Coach Javon Johnson in the house with us. We're going to go over some topics, man. I got a packed show for us next week on Tuesday. Appreciate you guys tuning in every week. Make sure you follow us on Kicking It with Coach K. It's Kicking It with Coach K podcast. You can follow that on Facebook or Instagram. Make sure you follow me at Coach K93 on Instagram. Make sure you follow my guys at Brain Jerk Entertainment on all their socials. And you can find us at KennedyHealthWellness.com and follow us as well. Appreciate you guys. I will see you tomorrow for Pillar Talk, 6 p.m. Make sure you guys tune in.